Hello. In this video, we begin our conversation on how to formulate program goals and objectives. So far, we have defined our problem. We have conducted a needs assessment. This stage gave us vital information for understanding what is the problem that we're dealing with. What are the contributing factors related to this problem? And through the needs assessment, we found out what the state of these protective or risk factors is in our community. The needs assessment also gave us information on what resources we have already in place to address this problem. Now that we have complete understanding of the problem, we go into defining the goals and objectives for the program. The goals and objectives follow from our problem definition and needs assessment. And the goals and objectives are broad statements in terms of goals and specific statements in terms of objectives that say what is it that we want to accomplish with our program. Let me give you an example. Let's go back to this. The child obesity rate in Monterey County is too high. And that's the problem statement. And we have identified three contributing factors: lack of physical activity, lack of access to healthy fresh food, easy access to unhealthy snacks at schools. That was the problem definition stage. Then we went into the needs assessment to understand what is the state of these contributing factors in our community and what resources we already have in place. So in our needs assessment, let's give this as an example. When we were studying the lack of physical activity, we found out that 50% of public schools in the county have cut all PE classes, or that 30% of children do not have access to a green area, or that Latino children are most affected by the lack of exercise. When looking at the state of access to healthy fresh food, we found out that 60% of school cafeterias serve high fat and high carbohydrate meals in a regular basis, and that 70% of families in the county cannot walk to a store that sells fresh vegetables. Maybe we also found that 90% of elementary schools in the county sell soda and high sugar content snacks in vending machines. So now we have a detailed and deep knowledge of the state of these protective factors that contribute to childhood obesity. Now we need to decide, what is it that we want to accomplish with our program? Which of these risk factors are we going to address with our program? What is it that we want to change? Do we want to change this 30% of children not having access to a green area? Do we want to change the 60% of cafeterias serving high fat, high carbohydrate meals? Do we want to change these 90% of elementary schools in the county selling soda and high sugar drinks in vending machines? What is it that we want to change, and by how much? That is what we need to decide in this stage, and that is what goals and objectives are for. So once we have the understanding of the problem and the state of these protective and risk factors, we can move into formulating goals. Goals and objectives are statements of what we want to see changed in the problem and or the contributing factors as a result of our program. Right? Now, goals and objectives are different. Goals establish a general direction. Goals give your program a focus on the target population and the objectives. On the other hand, objectives are much more specific. They establish precise expectations of what the program is attempting to achieve and by when. Objectives are also extremely important in evaluation because they set specific actions or outcomes that we want to achieve, right? When we are evaluating the program, we're going to evaluate it in terms of these outcomes that were the objectives of the program, right? And we're going to go back and ask, did we really achieve the outcomes that we said we were going to achieve? Right? So goals are general, objectives are much more specific. But let's talk about formulating goals in more detail. So we discussed that goals are broad statements that describe the desired longer-term impacts of the program that we want to accomplish. Goals are statements of expected outcomes, dealing with the problem, right? So there has to be a very close connection between the problem statement that you had in the first address and the goal of your program, right? Goal statements are also a good transition between the agency mission and the program objectives, right? The goal lies in between those two. And the goals are the reasons for which the program is funded or implemented. It's the big north. Like now, authors disagree on whether you have just one goal or you should have more than one goal. The RAND Corporation, in its Getting to Outcomes framework, suggests writing very specific statements and having more than one, right, in terms of goals. Kettner and colleagues in their textbook suggest making goal statements broad and having just one for the entire program. There are pros and cons to both sides that I'm not going to discuss in this video. I tend to agree with Kettner and colleagues that a program should only have one general goal. Now, it should be said that many funders would fund programs with a specific goal. And so funders pretty much give you the goal that they want you to accomplish if you're going to be funded by them. For example, right now I'm working on a program that is funded by the California Bureau of Corrections. And their goal for any program, and the goal that they want for any program they're going to fund, is to reduce recidivism. That's the only goal they care about, at least for this funding stream that they have for programs, and that's the goal that they want for all the programs that they're going to fund. So sometimes the goal is already established for you from a funder. Right? Now, the goal statement, when you are formulating it, it has to be a statement of preferences or values, right? What is it that you want? The goal statement should be worded so that it tends to build consensus, right? So it's general, it has it's easy to get people behind it. Goals don't need to be measurable or fixed in time. And a program should only have one goal. And from this will follow a set of specific objectives and activities designed to move toward the achievement of the goal. So for example here, going back to our original problem of the childhood obesity rate in Monterey County being too high, we can have a goal as we want to end obesity in Monterey County, childhood obesity in Monterey County, right? That is broad. It's providing a north to our program. It's directly related to our problem statement, and it's general enough that will bring people behind the program, right? So when you are formulating goals, keep in mind that they have to be broad statements, that people should be able to understand them and get behind them, that they don't need to be measurable or have a time frame from when you want to accomplish the goal. Now, objectives are much more specific, and we will turn to our discussion on how to formulate objectives in the next video. I'll see you then.